Between 1918 and 1931, at least 60 members of the Osage Nation were murdered. Newspapers named this series of murders at the time the Reign of Terror. Some murders were committed for the purposes of taking over land and wealth of Osage members who were made wealthy when oil was discovered on tribal land. Later, in subsequent investigations, there were indications that other suspicious deaths during this time could have been misreported or covered up, which could mean that the death toll may have been in the hundreds. However, in those days, the confirmed deaths were investigated by what was then called the Bureau of Investigation, which would eventually become the FBI. They were looking to find and convict the killers of the Flower Moon. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. All right, this is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon, written by Eric Roth and Martin Scorsese, directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, Jesse Plemons, Tantoo Cardinal, John Lithgow, and Brendan Fraser. And per usual, for a complete cast listing, you can go to the link in my show notes. It's just me today. All right, Killers of the Flower Moon tells the true story of the Osage Nation, which is located in Oklahoma, and it talks about their interactions in this town called Fairfax, because the Osage discover oil on their land, and in the discovery of that oil, they are then subject to the wills of a bunch of white people who, specifically white dudes, who come to the town and try to exploit the natives for their riches and wealth from the oil. It follows main character Ernest, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, as he's coming back from one of the wars, I'm assuming one of the world wars. He's coming back, he meets up with his uncle, played by Robert De Niro. His name is William, but they call him King. And when Ernest comes back, he meets Molly, who is an Osage woman, and he meets her and they fall in love, and it kind of follows the exploitation of this white family against these natives in Fairfax. So the movie's very good. It's 3 hours and 26 minutes. This is actually one of the first times in which, or one of the few times, I should say, in which I've seen a movie this long and not been like, this movie could have been shorter. This movie probably could have been shorter, but maybe only about like 15 or 20 minutes. They really use all of the time well. I was on the edge of my seat for the majority of the movie. It was very well acted. The pacing was very good. The direction was good. Scorsese always brings you like, a quality film, and they did a very good job in this one. With that being said, the subject matter of much of this movie is the murder of indigenous folks, which I gotta be honest with you, I did not have fun watching. And that flew kind of directly in the face of me saying like, no, but the movie is very good. Like, as I'm sitting there and rating it in my head, I'm just like, this is good. This is 4 stars. This is 4.5 stars. This is 4.75 stars. Then these murders would happen, and there would be choices that would make with regards to violence, specifically violence against women. They would make these choices to like kind of shove it directly in your face. And I had this feeling of saying, well, who exactly is this movie for? And as a black person watching this, I obviously don't think it was made for me. I feel like Martin Scorsese made a movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, for white folks to kind of see and be acquainted with the type of violence that Native folks suffered at the hands of white folks during this time, which I think is important to make, and I think it's important for white folks to see. What's tough is that to be like a Native person or any type of minority, a black person, anything like that, to watch that, you're just like, here we go again. Like, here it is. It's right in my face. And at this point, I just wonder, it just makes me wonder why make these choices and who is it for? And I've kind of already stated who it's for, but that's kind of the question that just keeps popping up. And when I watch it, I'm like, oh, well, why do I have to watch this? There's even a portion of the movie in which they describe in detail what happens to this woman, but then they turn around and then show it. After they've already described it in detail, they just show it as well. And I remember thinking, well, they didn't need to do both. You could have either just shown me or you could have just told me. And by choosing to do both, you like basically are traumatizing me twice, because they described it in graphic detail. It was horrible to listen to this person talk about what they did to this woman. So with that being said, I think it's hard for me to say, if you had an interest in seeing this movie and you are a woman, if you are a minority of any type, you might skip this one, to be honest with you, because while it is a very good movie, I would at least say gird your loins before you go in there, or like, you know, maybe wait for this one to come on streaming so you could stop it and take care of yourself and be on a couch. But like, to go to a theater to see this, and I think it's going to be released on Apple TV, which is great. Watch it on Apple TV, but like pause it. You know what I mean? Like, take a walk, take care of yourself. But all of that being said, acting is great. I even love the way they used the scoring. They used this kind of pulsating score that kind of just existed underneath for a lot of it. The acting was good. The direction was good. The pacing was good. I think this movie is definitely going to be in the Oscar race. I think they're probably going to get costume design probably as well. A lot of good stuff happening. So with all of that being said, I think I would give this movie a 4.25. Very good movie. But I just really want to be like as plain as possible when I say, especially to my Oscar-loving friends, people that watch them. I don't know, maybe you used to go to the AMC BPS pretty often yourself. Like, I don't know. This one's tough. Lots of violence. So yeah, all of that being said, 4.25 stars. And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of OhitsBigRon Studios. Alexandra Ketch of Bias Studios mixes the show. Thank you, Alex. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about Killers of the Flower Moon, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads at OhitsBigRon. That's at OhitsBigRon. You can find out more about this show and other OhitsBigRon Studios shows by following us on Instagram at OhitsBigRon Studios and on Twitter at OhitsBigRonStew. That's STEW. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening.